My name is Dave Watkinson. I'm president of Idaho Maryland Mining Corporation. The CEQA process has been going on really since 2005. We went through a three-stage permitting process where we started with a master environmental assessment. At the end of that process, MGold elected to take the opportunity to make modifications to our project description at that time to improve the project based on public comment that came out of the process. Subsequent to that, we had an initial study done. Subsequent to that, the environmental impact report process started in around 2007. So the draft came out late 2008. We went through public comment. We were just like everybody else. We hadn't seen the draft before we went through it, so we reviewed the draft and had our comments on it just like the public did. We met with agencies subsequent to that and with the city representatives at the same time. So about mid-2009, we elected to make some changes to our project description in order to address some of the public comments that had come in, our review of the draft EIR, and we thought on areas we thought needed to be improved or clarified. And we did a meeting with you several months ago sort of outlining what those changes were. This is what the process is, and the process is here to answer public questions. So the questions that most of the people have brought up tonight will be addressed through the CEQA process, which is designed to do that. And I suggest people come to those meetings, read the documents, go to the Idaho Maryland website and the city's website to read about the project, because they'll find many other questions are answered there already, and the process will again address many of them. When we're in the process now of raising funds, so I'd like to address that issue with you and answer your questions related to that. We put out a press release because we're raising funds for our other properties and for general working capital. That's part one of a funding that we're doing for the company, which will be followed subsequently for funding for the Idaho Maryland project. When we put out press releases for funding, we have to be very clear on what the use of proceeds are for people. That's why it's very detailed at the first funding we're doing, what those proceeds are going for, and it didn't include the Idaho Maryland project. At the time we were initially starting the process steps for that financing, we at that point weren't still aware of what the funding requirements were, what the schedule was, or what a budget was that we would be required to put in place for the Idaho Maryland project. It's not just the cost of what the city has on their budget for us to pay for consultants and for city staff, but it's also our costs that have to be modeled as part of that, and then I have to go and raise those funds. So we're looking at requesting the city for 60 to 90 days to go raise those funds for that project, which may or may not be an equity financing. There's other terms of financing that is available. As for some of the questions about our funding ability, the question was brought up about a $47 million deficit. Over the past several months, that's been brought up several times, like we owe that money. Our company's been around since 1989. That $47 or $49 million deficit on the books is actually the money that's been raised since the company was started in 1989. It's not a deficit of money that's owed. It's a record of how much money has been raised by the company and essentially spent on exploration projects, on permitting projects, on general working capital as a corporation. To be a publicly traded company today costs about $1 million a year just to operate. So we live in a different model. Comments were made about, the price of gold has gone up and MGold stock has gone down. Perhaps somebody should look at the TSX Venture Exchange. Since 2008, the value of that exchange has decreased by about 60%. So this isn't something that's endemic of MGold. This is something that's endemic of the world markets right now. It's very difficult to raise money. Tomorrow, if Greece goes under or Italy goes under in the EU and the markets go down, we won't be able to raise money. So that's why we put disclaimers in our press releases, because we're affected by world conditions beyond our control. We have to make sure that the public that's investing in our stock knows what the issues are, and that's why we put those disclaimers there. That's why we put disclaimers in our financial reports, and those are required by law for us to do. We don't put it there for fun. We don't put it there because we're jerking the city around. We're putting it there because we're required by law to inform investors about what the risks are of investing in M-Gold. So there is significant interest in this project. We just announced the financing for $1 million. We increased it to $2 million. We expect that to be fully subscribed, and then we will go forward with raising funds to bring the Idaho, Maryland project ahead. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, maybe you'll stay up here, and after the public comment
Sure.
is closed, I have a couple questions.
Yeah, just
Okay,
have a
sure.
seat next to Tom or in the front. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to council for questions and discussion. So,
Just to answer a question that was brought up by several speakers this evening, is it your intent, and I've never been on your website,
Yep.
never read your press releases, is it your intent to ask the city for to continue this?
It is our intent to ask the city for approximately 60 to 90 days for us to go out to raise funds to move forward. So we're looking at not just raising, the $500,000 plus to move forward with the project, but we're going to have to raise probably in the neighborhood of $2 million to move forward with the project, because we have to have working capital for our company. I also have to go, once you guys approve the contract in general, I have to take it to our board to get approval for it too. So we're like any other company. We have to go through an approval process with our board. We have to go forward and raise the money for the project. It would be nice to say that we knew ahead of time how much money would be, what the schedule would be, and raise the money ahead of time. But in this case, we waited until we knew what it was. Now we'll go forward and raise the money. We raise money on the stock exchange. We don't have income coming in except from small payments that come from other properties, from other companies that have optioned properties from us, that type of thing. And this is normal for junior mining companies. That's what we do as a business. We develop projects. Same as Newmont, when they came here to Grass Valley in 1929, this was their first operating mine in Grass Valley that they acquired. They would have been considered a penny stock, and the same questions could have been raised about them. Now they're one of the top 10 mining companies in the world. You can look at Western Goldfields here in California, or Atna, that are operating mines that were penny stocks. Western Goldfields is now called New Gold, and Atna is operating, so they have the Briggs and Mesquite mines. So this is what is done in the mining business. This is how projects are developed. Smaller companies are the ones often that develop them and eventually become operating companies, and that's what our goal and objectives are. We have operating experience within our company. The question is about experience. Well, it's not companies that have experience. It's the people in those companies that have experience. So if you look at Frank Lang, who is the founder of M-Gold, he was awarded from the Prospectors and Developers Association the Developer of the Year Award for discovery of the Hemlo deposit in Ontario, which is one of the largest gold deposits discovered in the last 50 years in North America. The other people within M-Gold have been involved in development of projects and raising hundreds of millions of dollars. I've dewatered mines, I've built mines, I've operated mines with 10,000 people. So
my question was actually just a simple yes or no. And
okay.
So